Howdy, Immortalium here, and basically the other day I put up a video asking for topics, to discuss, and I was peering through the comments just a while ago, and I caught one that kind of caught my eye. That was basically the question asked by Bahad. I would like a discussion on the cost of manga. It is not something that I see discussed very often, but I think it is a subject that most manga fans have to weigh and consider. Do you worry about cost? If so, how do you budget? Do you ever feel like you spend too much money? So that's like a couple of different questions, but all based on the same idea. So let's start off with, the cost of mangas. Just before I started getting into manga, I was into Western graphic novels, but one thing that really put me off a lot of them was how pricey they were. If you want an example of a couple of the Western graphic novels I really liked, around the time, that was Persepolis, Watchmen, Arkham Asylum. But the cost was so off-putting, so when I got into manga, the cost of manga was so refreshing. Just to give you a quick example, a series that I really wanted to get into was Hellboy, but I've always been put off by the price of it. Because the price of one paperback 144-page book of Hellboy will cost you the same amount as a hardcover 440-page edition of Gundam Origin. And like Gundam Origin is like 10% color pages as well. So I just find the cost of manga to be a lot more appealing. I feel like I get more value out of the medium. So yeah, there's that. Now, when I first started getting into manga, I made the common mistake of actually buying from stores. Which you kind of go to the stores, you see a manga you like, and you're tempted, I should just buy it here. Really, don't do that. Because they're going to charge recommended retail price. And of course that's logical. I mean, the recommended retail price is there to tell the stores what to charge. But if you go on to Amazon, Book Depository, Right Stuff, you're going to find the same manga volumes a lot cheaper. And the reason for that is because those online stores order on bulk. And when you order on bulk from a distributor, you actually get a discount. And because of that discount, then you're able to charge less on, all the individual books. Which is a great way for them to compete with, the brick and mortar stores. So I would highly recommend that you actually buy from, online retailers if you are buying from brick and mortar retailers. Now, of course, that could be an issue maybe from shipping, but Book Depository charge nothing for shipping in most countries. So there's really no reason not to move on to them. You'll save a lot more money in the future. Now, about some of the other parts of that question. So, for example, one of them was, do you worry about cost? Yes, I do. And that is why I actually have a lot more Viz Media than I have of any other publisher. Viz Media are among the cheapest. They are the cheapest, I should say. And even then, actually, it's only certain imprints of theirs that is the cheapest. Mainly like Shoujo Beat and Shonen Jump. All their other stuff, like even Advanced Shonen Jump is more expensive. And that means in the past at least, I'm veered more towards the cheaper stuff. Simply because I was a bit of stinger. I didn't like to spend more money than I had to. But, I think that in and of itself is a bit of a flawed method. And it's something that I'm trying to get out of. Because, there are some great stuff in Shoujo Beat and Shonen Jump, but if a lot of the stuff that I was really interested in, the vertical stuff, the yen press stuff, the stuff that was more expensive but had more interesting series, I kind of veered away from simply because of the price. And I'm thinking it's a case of quality really against the cost. If you're not going to enjoy something, despite the fact that it's cheap, then why buy it? It's just wasting money. You should actually just buy what you're more interested in. So that's what I should say. Yes, I do worry about the cost sometimes, but I don't let it get to me. I just look at what I, like. I check to see if it's good value, at least in comparison to other retailers. And once I found the cheapest price, I'm like, okay, I'll get it there. The other parts of those questions, if so, how do you budget? Basically, this is actually pretty interesting. I won't obviously explain how I get my money, because that's a bit too personal. But how I actually buy stuff, budgeting-wise, is basically I go onto, where I'll buy. So let's just say, for example, my last order was from Book Depository. So what I do is I actually take all the things I really want, I'm really interested in, I put them all in the basket, and then I spend an hour just peeling stuff away from the basket until I'm left with what I really want. And within budget, of course. Now, because of the recent weakening of the euro in comparison. Like, for example, Book Depository is a UK-based company, and because of that they work off the pound, and so the fact that the euro has weakened recently means the stuff is more expensive than ever on Book Depository, at least in comparison to how long I've been using it. So basically it's more expensive than it was before, which of course is sad. You know, like, I had all the stuff in the basket and I was looking at it and I was going to myself, wow, there was so much I could have gotten before, you know, the euro weakened. But it was still better value than the, you know, retail stores and, you know, the other, like Amazon, for instance. So I was like, okay, I'll just get it anyway, because it's the better value. And, you know, the euro has weakened since then as well. So I'm very happy to have gotten it when I did. Otherwise I'd be paying even more money. But, yeah. Did I answer that question? Let me see. How do you put it? So, yeah, basically I just put everything in the basket and just peel away until I left with what I really, really want. That's how I budget, really. Now how I actually get the money, I'll leave because I don't really want to discuss that. And the last part, do you ever feel like you spend too much money? No, I set myself a certain amount of money, and I just, you know, have to keep everything within that. Now every so often I'm gonna go, I want to spend an extra, you know, €10 for instance, and so I'll, you know, spoil myself and let me spend a little bit more than I had intended to. But in general, each time I do an order, I just say to myself, okay, I have this much money to spend and I must keep it within that. So, you know, I think that I spend pretty well. But in general, costs of manga are actually a lot better in comparison to other graphic novel mediums. And if you just go buy through the actual, you know, online distributors, you will find that you get a lot more bang for your buck. And actually, something else that I'm going to say, I know, like, I'm a more, you know, hands-on person when it comes to manga, so I wouldn't personally recommend this method for myself. But for some other people, particularly for those living in America, this might be a good way to save money. And that is, I noticed that Viz have really been pushing their digital side recently. And I saw, like, there was a deal, for instance, like, if you're into Toriko, like, if you really want to get into Toriko, there was something, like, they were doing recently, I think it was, like, oh, was it something like you can get 15 volumes for $45, which is like $3 a volume, which is pretty dang good. So if you want to go through that method, just buying digitally, now is really the time to do it, particularly if you're an American. Not so much if you're, like, you know, in the UK or Ireland or something, but if you're in America, I would probably recommend that you start looking maybe into the digital series. At the very least, you could buy, like, a couple of digital volumes just to see what it's like. And then, you know, if you really like it, you can actually move on to the printed thing. So maybe you can do that. So yeah, I guess that's really my entire discussion about cost of manga. So basically, to summarize, manga is cheaper than other graphic novel mediums. Buy through online retailers if you can. When you can, you should. You'll save a lot of money that way. Go for the stuff that you're really interested in. It might be a little pricier than some of the other stuff, but you will find that you'll actually, you know, you won't be wasting money with that. And you just set yourself a budget as well. That's the best way to put it. So yeah, that's my discussion. Hopefully I answered what Bahab wanted me to answer. If I didn't, Bahab, just simply mention, you know, what I misinterpreted or anything. And, you know, I will hopefully try to rectify that in the future. And I would love for you guys to recommend me new topics to discuss for next week. There's something I want to do about weekly. Just simply say in the comments, you know, along with, you know, of course, your discussion, your comment about what I've been discussing. Just simply say, oh, in the next video, I would like you to discuss so-and-so topic, you know, and why, you know. And, you know, I would really love for you guys to do that, because it would make my life a lot more easier. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of topics, a lot of interesting topics that you would like to see me discuss. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, hopefully you found it informative and helpful, etc, etc. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.